Hello, this is Spartan Commander, and this is the 972nd Rome Total War Brotherhood game that I put onto YouTube. And what a battle I've got for you today, with a little bit of history about the Teutoburg Forest as well. Okay, so you'll see we're fighting on the Nordic woodland map with the big open plains. If you want to fight out in the open here, there you are, you've got all that. And of course you've got the woods as well. So if you bring a Barbarian Faction, you're going to get the winter bonus and the woods bonus as well. Okay, so this is a good map if you want to bring Barbarians here for both the bonuses there. As I say, it's going to be a cracking, very unusual, close battle. Okay, our first teammate is Brotherhood member Demon. Demon's had a break from Rome Total War. He's just recently come back on, so it's nice to see him back on. And he's got 15 infantry and 5 cavalry. Okay, 15 infantry and 5 cavalry. Quick look at the upgrades on his cavalry, and he just got gold shield, gold attack on his cavalry there. Anyway, as I say, nice to see Demon back on RTW. Our next teammate is Brotherhood member Fesen. Now, Fesen's got 16 Sacred Band Spearmen. Okay, and he's got 3 skirmishers. Okay, remember these guys, you probably use these guys as pilot shield units, but they can throw spears as well, so they can cause some damage to enemy troops as well. Notice no cavalry. Fesen never brings cavalry in his Carthage army. He concentrates on the spearmen. Okay, our next teammate is a Brotherhood member Spitfyr. Now Spitfyr has got 14 pikes and 6 cavalry. Okay, if you notice here, if I remember correctly, he's got mixed upgrades. Now he's got 7 upgrades there, an experience stripe, gold shield, gold attack. And also on others of his units, he's got 8 upgrades, 2 experience stripes, gold shield, gold attack. Remember, that is the optimum Macedonian Royal Pikeman upgrades. 8 upgrades are the optimum there. And I'm guessing probably just, 7 upgrades on his cavalry and experience stripe, gold shield, gold attack. As we've talked about before, we call these guys the winged horsemen because of those wing kind of things on their helmets. And remember, these guys got a massive 9 charge bonus as well. Remember, the charge bonus is the impact and penetration a unit can do. So that's a pretty tough Macedonian army there. And our last teammate is myself, Spartan Commander. Has got his very old Roman army of 14 infantry and 5 cavalry. Okay, so there's our team. Quite diverse, I suppose. We've got Rome there with Demon. We've got a Fesen there with Carthage. We've got Macedon with Spitfyr, and myself with Rome. It's going to be a cracking close battle. And here is the other team. We have Brotherhood member Mantu. Now he's got 14 infantry and 6 cavalry. Okay. And if you notice here, he's got an eagle unit at the rear of his infantry there, giving that extra morale bonus to his infantry. Okay, now there's a reason why he's bought that eagle unit and put it in with his infantry. That's because his actual cavalry general will be hiding in the woods with the rest of the cavalry, so he can ride his cavalry all around the battlefield, and they'll be getting general morale bonus. Okay, well, he knows that the eagle unit will be giving morale bonus to his infantry, so that's why he's got an eagle unit there to give that extra morale to his infantry. Their next teammate is Brotherhood member Royer. Now get ready for this. Okay, bit of a shock for a normal 31k battlefield. 20 chosen swordsmen. Okay, 20 Dacian chosen swordsmen there. Okay, so that is a mass of infantry there. Remember, these guys have got excellent morale, like urban cohorts, and he's got 20 of them there. Notice that he's got no cavalry. Okay, and remember, because we've got a winter map here, his troops will automatically be getting the winter bonus. If he takes his troops into the woods, he'll be getting the woods bonus as well. So, as I say, it's a good map for the barbarians here. Their next teammate is RTW player Lando. Now, Lando's got 13 infantry and 5 cavalry. Okay, 13 infantry and 5 cavalry. Now, you notice here, some of his cavalry have got 8 upgrades on, 2 experience stripes, gold shield, gold attack. Okay, and others of his cavalry have just got 7 upgrades on, 1 experience stripe, gold shield, gold attack. So he's got mixed upgrades in his cavalry, but the cavalry is pretty tough there. So that'd be a tried and tested Lando army there. And their last teammate is RTW player Barclayman. Now he's got 15 pikes, 1 cavalry general, and 4 chariots. Okay, if you look at the upgrades at forward units of his battle formation, just gold shield, gold attack, because these units are going to take the pilers and make first contact with the enemy, and he knows he's going to lose a lot of them, so that's why he hasn't spent much money on them. Just gold shield, gold attack on those units. But if you go further back in the battle formation, you'll see that he's put 8 upgrades on the rest of his pikes. There are 2 experience stripes, gold shield, gold attack. So make no mistake, this will be a tried and tested Barclayman Pontus army there. Pretty tough. If you look at his armoured cavalry general there, remember that that unit's got 2 hit points anyway, and they were very tough. I think this Eastern General unit is one of the toughest cavalry units in the game, if I remember correctly. So it'd be interesting to see how he handles that. And of course, he's got the infamous Pontus chariots here with their 3 hit points. Excellent attack specifications, big fear factor, but of course, like we've talked about before, if they run amok, they start killing both friend and foe alike and become a menace to both friend and foe alike. And believe me, if your chariots start running amok and kill your allies' troops, you become unpopular very, very quickly. So I always say to people, if you're not confident or competent with chariots, you really need to think about whether you want to bring them or not, because they really are a double-edged sword. So there's the enemy team. It's got the potential to be a cracking battle, and a very close battle too. Okay, at this very, very early stage of the battle, just to give you a heads up, if you notice, I'm on the left flank, and the team has decided we're going to all form up on the right flank. So once again, it's for me a dash across to the other flank there, and hope that I don't get intercepted by any enemy troops there. Okay, so as I say, we've decided the team's going to form up on the right flank. You will see here that Spitfyr is now moving all his troops over to that right flank as well. And if you notice here, you'll see that Demon is moving forward there. Going to team up by the side of our Carthage ally Fesen. Okay. And just to pause the game for a second here. Just to say, if you notice here, can you see that Dacia here, Royer, is moving over to his left flank. Okay, he's taking his Dacian army over to the left flank. Okay, which might seem a bit strange because Mantu here with his Brutia army, okay, is taking his army over to their right flank, okay, where Lando and Barclayman are. Okay, so 3 of the team are going to move over onto that right flank, but Royer here is taking his Dacian army over to their left flank. Now, can you think possibly why he's doing that? Okay, so what he's been doing, he's been kind of winding up Demon here by saying, you know, you've got that fantastic elite Roman army, and I'm only Dacia here. Why don't you attack? Are you a chicken? You know, he's trying to wind him up a bit there. Meanwhile, over here on, as I say, on our left flank, I'm rushing over as fast as I can to get to the right flank there. And as I say, whenever I have to go over to another flank, I'm always a little bit worried about being intercepted by enemy troops there. But as you can see, the enemy are quite a long way away, so I don't think there's much chance of me being intercepted there as I'm moving over to the right flank. But I always run anyway, because those fast moving chariots of Pontus possibly could reach me before I get to my allies, so I always run there. But as I say, going back over to this flank here, you can see that Dacia there with Royer is moving over towards the woods. Okay, but you can see, as I say, all his allies are on his other flank. Okay, you see Mantu moving over to the other flank there with Pontus and Scipii with Lando and Barclayman over on that flank. But as I say, you can see Royer here moving his Dacians, okay, into the woods. All right, and that's because he's getting, what he wants is the winter bonus and the woods bonus for if any of our troops attack him there. Okay, so there you are. You can see him moving into. And remember, he all the time he's saying to Demon, "You chicken, come on, attack me. You got that elite Roman army." Okay, but this just reminds me a little bit when I see barbarian troops going into the woods of Varus and Teutoburg Forest. A lot of you might know about Teutoburg Forest here. And as I say, Royer here, as I say, getting the winter bonus. He wants to go into the woods there to get that woods bonus there. So he'll have both bonuses, which enhance his specifications. So that's why he wants to go into the woods. And as I say, he's been trying to encourage a demon with trying to wind him up a bit to attack him in the woods. But as I say, it does remind me a little bit of Varus and the Teutoburg Forest. You remember that Varus's lead scout, Arminius, led Varus's legions into the Teutoburg Forest, but it was a massive trap. The Teutoburg Forest was a dark and imposing forest there, and it was the domain of the fierce Germanic tribes. And as Varus pushed further and further into the forest, he was attacked on several occasions. Now, the Teutoburg Forest wasn't one big battle. What it was a series of massive ambushes where the Germans would all of a sudden come out the woods, hit the Roman column, cause them loads of casualties, and as soon as the Romans started to get organised, the Germans then would withdraw into the woods. Okay, so they were whittling down the Roman column all the time. And they were hitting them, pulling back. And in the end, Varus lost, I think, 21,000 men. And Germanic casualties were estimated to be about 5,000. But what you might find interesting is recently they've been doing an archaeological dig in the Teutoburg Forest where they found loads of Roman equipment, coins, and lots of paraphernalia to do with Rome there. But one interesting thing I found was that they found the skeleton of a donkey, okay, with its bell still round its neck. And when they investigated the bell a bit more, they found that the bell had been stuffed with straw and mud, so the bell didn't work anymore. And that's because they think that the Roman troops were trying to move as quietly as they could through the forest, so not to attract the Germanic tribes onto them. And so that's why they kind of stuffed straw and mud into the bell to stop it from working. But obviously it didn't work because the skeleton of the donkey was found, and I believe there were human remains found by the donkey as well. But I just thought that was quite interesting. But the archaeological dig, as I say, has turned up loads of Roman artifacts from that time. And I just thought that was quite interesting here, seeing Royer taking his barbarian troops into the woods there. And it just reminded me of Arminius leading Varus's legions into that dark and foreboding Teutoburg Forest there, and how the Germans were just waiting. It was as I say, it wasn't so much a pitched battle as it was a series of ambushes that kind of whittled away at the Roman column. And I was just thinking how frightened those Roman troops must have been in that dark and imposing woods. I believe it was raining most of the time, so it was wet. They'd been wet right through. It was kind of dark in there. And it must have been a very scary time for Varus's Roman troops there. And keep getting hit by those Germanic tribes who've got, they probably got those barbarian war cries that they did, which must have been really scary for the Roman troops hearing that as well. So just a little bit of history there of the Teutoburg Forest and Varus. And as I say, just seeing the Dacian troops going into the woods there just kind of reminded me of that as well. Now, is Demon going to attack in the woods where the Dacian troops have got the winter and woods bonus? Well, we'll just have to wait and see. But I know Royer's trying to wind him up, and Royer was trying to wind up Fesen as well, trying to get them both to move over to try and attack him in the woods there. So it'll be interesting to see if Demon and Fesen decide to attack those Dacian troops. But to be honest, I mean, the Dacian army is very, very isolated over there, isn't it? Away from its allies, a long, long way away from his allies there. So maybe Demon and Fesen might fancy the chance of doing that. Okay, so here you can see my SPQR army has finally got over to the right flank there, and glad to say I wasn't intercepted by any enemy troops. And there you'll see that Spitfyr is forming up with his Macedonians there to face the enemy troops there. Okay, so as I say, you can see Mantu. Now he's only walking his troops over to the other flank. That's so he doesn't want to tire them. He's just walking them slowly over to the other flank there. And remember, his cavalry are hiding in the woods. Okay, over here. Oh, they were hiding in the woods, look, and he's just moved them there. So not only have you got the Dacian, 20 Dacian chosen swordsmen here, you've got Mantu's green Brutii cavalry in the woods as well. So, as I say, it'll be interesting to see if Demon and Fesen are going to attack. There, right, okay, so here you can see Demon moving his Roman army maybe towards the Dacians there. But a demon is experienced enough to know not to go into the woods, I think. And it'll be interesting to see if Fesen's going to join there. They might be thinking a double attack on Dacia could take him out quite quickly. Maybe that's what they were thinking there. But here, as I say, Spitfyr and myself here will form up on the left flank there with facing the Pontus, Scipii and Brutii enemy armies there. Okay, you can see Mantu there. As I say, he's just walking his troops over to the other flank there. That's so he can keep them fresh and he can put them straight into battle if he needs to there. Okay. But as I say, you can see Demon is taking his Red Julia army over towards the Dacian army there. As I say, Demon's a bit too experienced to take his troops into the woods. But it wouldn't surprise me if Royer tried baiting him. You know, if Royer brought his Dacian troops out of the woods. It'll be interesting to see what tactics Royer's going to do here with his Dacian troops. Okay, so here you can see Mantu's green Brutii cavalry now are running out of the woods here. Okay. As you can see, he paused the game for a second here. So as I say, you can see Demon there, and he's moving his cavalry over here as well to assist his infantry. And you can see that Royer has slightly brought his infantry out of the woods. Right. And here you can see that Fesen is also taking his Carthaginians over there. So it looks like Demon and Fesen are going to try and take out that Dacian army. But of course, that just leaves myself and Spitfyr to face 3 enemy armies. Okay, so we will be facing, obviously, the blue Scipii there of Lando, the Pontus of Barclayman there, and of course, Mantu's Brutii army there. So Spitfyr and myself will be facing 3 armies. Now, can we hold while our 2 allies take out the Dacian troops? Well, I guess we're just going to have to see here. But as I say, there you can see Fesen moving his Carthaginians forward there. And as I say, you can see Mantu taking his Brutii infantry round the flank there. But here, as I say, can you see Royer is now taking his Dacian troops out of the woods? Okay, now make no mistake, I think this is a bit of bait. He's taking his troops out of the woods there, trying to entice Demon to attack him. And make no mistake, as soon as Demon gets close, I reckon that Royer's going to run his troops back into the woods. Once again, as I say, for the woods bonus as well as the winter bonus. But look how he's... It wouldn't surprise me if he moved forward or over a little bit, once again, trying to entice Demon to attack him. Look. See how he's just moving out? Now he's come out, basically, he's come completely out of the woods, hasn't he? Now, what a ripe target there for the elite Julii Roman army there. Look at that, look how far he's come out of the woods now. But make no mistake, I reckon, as I say, as soon as Fesen or Demon gets near him, he is going to run back into the woods there. Let's just see what happens there. You can see Fesen there coming, actually, looks like he's going to actually go into the woods there. And you can see the red Julii troops moving towards Dacia. There you are, look. Can you see now that Royer is going to run his troops back into the woods? What he's done is he's enticed Fesen and Demon to go for him here. And he is now going to move his troops back into the woods. Okay, so now when his troops move back into the woods, as I say, he'll have the winter and woods bonus. And remember, those bonuses really enhance all his specifications there. And there you are, you can see run back into the woods. So he's kind of done the job that he wanted to. He's enticed 2 of our armies over towards him there. And it'll be interesting to see what happens on this flank now. As I say, I think Demon's too experienced to go into the woods after him. Now, this was a nice move by Lando. He brought his cavalry all the way round behind us. Okay, so he's come all the way round behind us there and smashed into the back of Demon's cavalry while Demon was concentrating on his infantry facing the Dacians there. And as you can see, he's routed a couple there. You can see myself and Spitfyre's cavalry are coming over to counter Lando's cavalry there. And it wouldn't surprise me now if Lando moves his cavalry back out the way. There you go. Lando's done the damage he wanted to, look, and is now moving his cavalry out the way. But you can see both mine and Spitfyre's cavalry are now chasing him off there. And here you'll see that Fesen has decided now he's not going to mess around with Dacia. He's going to move his infantry back over towards myself and Spitfyr there. Okay, I remember at the time seeing this Brutii cavalry and that chariot unit there, and I thought they were going to smash into these skirmisher units there. Can you see that? That's why I'm bringing my cavalry back over to try and defend them against those possible threats. Okay, so you can see my my cavalry moving back there now just to defend those skirmishers, and you can see that the Macedonian general there, Spitfyr, has moved one of his pike units over there. Right, okay, so what I've done is I put my SBQR army out in front of my ally there, because I know I'm going to take Scipii pilas into my pilar shield units there, and possibly Mantu's pilas as well into my pilar shield units. Okay, so my army is more suited to take the pilas than my Macedonian ally. Okay, so that's why I've put my SBQR units out in front, because obviously Macedon, being very susceptible to missile damage, would lose loads of troops from the pilas of the Scipii and Brutii enemy armies there. Okay, as I say, you can see the enemy cavalry there has moved on, if you like, into our flank there. And as I say, you can see Fesen moving his spearmen back over towards us there. But it'll be interesting to see what Demon's going to do over on that other flank. You can see him moving towards the Dacians there, and he's got his cavalry in behind his infantry now, ready to counter any enemy cavalry attack. But as I say, I don't think Demon will go into the woods. He's too experienced for that. So it'll be interesting to see what Royer is going to do over there with his 20 chosen swordsmen. Okay, so meanwhile over here you'll see that Lando has attacked the forward units of my SBQR troops with several of his Scipii units there. Okay, and you can see Pontus moving towards me, and you can see the green Brutii troops of Mantu moving towards me as well. And here you'll see Spitfyr moving his troops forward. Here you'll see I was going to smash my cavalry into those attacking Scipii infantry that were attacking the forward units there, but Lando saw my cavalry coming and is backing his infantry off, which is a good tactical move there by Lando doing that. So I need to pull my cavalry back now with all those Pontus anti-cavalry pikemen moving in towards me as well. Okay, so here you can see that the enemy Pontus and enemy Scipii troops are moving in on, if you like, my SBQR troops there. And here you can see Mantu's green Brutii infantry. Now, it wouldn't surprise me with his cavalry there if he moved his infantry and cavalry around our flank. Okay, so if he moves his infantry around there, he'd join his cavalry, plus there's a chariot unit there as well, maybe to look to smash into the flank of my SBQR units there. But you can see that Fesen's Sacred Band Spearmen have just arrived here to reinforce our position. So it'll be interesting to see what Fesen does with his spearmen there. And you can see here, just want to show you a nice move here by Spitfyr. Can you see how he's put an anti-cavalry pike unit there, okay, which is going to neutralize the cavalry attack there that Mantu may well have been thinking about putting in there. So that's a nice move there by Spitfyr. And here you can see Spitfyr's cavalry. You can see Lando's cavalry there as well. And of course you've got Demon's red Julia army over here. And he's got his cavalry, so he'll be watching Lando's cavalry with his cavalry there as well. Be interested to see what Demon's going to do over on that flank in regard of Dacia. And I was just thinking, if our Macedonian and Julia allies work together, they might be able to take out a few of Lando's cavalry. But here, as I say, you can see my SBQR units there. Make no mistake, I'm going to be throwing loads of pilas into those forward units of those Pontus pikes there. A lot of pilas will be going in there towards them. And there you are. You can see that now Mantu is taking his green Brutii army round our flank there to join up with his cavalry, and there's a couple of chariot units there as well. So it'll be interesting to see what Mantu's going to do there on our flank. Okay, and it'll be interesting to see what Fesen's going to do, and maybe Spitfyr there to maybe neutralise the threat here on our flank. It'd be interesting to see. Right, okay, so here you can see that Spitfyr is now moving his Macedonian army. Looks like he's going to take it over onto that left flank. Now, for me, that's a little bit risky, and the only reason I say that's a bit risky is because Mantu's infantry have got their full amount of pilers, okay? And I think they're going to throw a lot of pilers into our Macedonian ally there. As I say, I've got my infantry there still taking pilers from enemy troops there, but of course I can throw pilers back into them as well. But as I say, you can see our Macedonian ally Spitfyr taking his Macedonian army over onto that other flank. And as I say, remember that Mantu's Green Brutii infantry there, they haven't thrown any of their pilers, so they're fully piloted, if you like, and they're going to throw all those into our Macedonian ally. Now remember that the big 121-man pike units are extremely susceptible to any kind of missile damage. I've put my cavalry in behind the Macedonians there just in case Mantu or Lando bring their cavalry round the flank there to try and smash in to the rear of the Macedonian pikes. So I've got my cavalry there. And as I say, here you can see Lando charging a lot of his Scipii infantry into my forward units there. Okay, and meanwhile over on the other flank there, you'll see that both Spitfyr and Demon have got their cavalry there in behind his infantry to stop any enemy cavalry coming in and smashing into the rear of his infantry while he's trying to engage the Dacians there. Make no mistake, can you see how Royer's just keeping his units just on the edge of the woods there, just to keep Demon interested there? So it'd be interesting. I hope Demon doesn't lose patience and just charge in there. So, but at the moment, Demon's doing a good job on that flank there. But as I say, here, I feel a bit sorry for Spitfyr because I know that he's going to get loads and loads of Brutii pilers thrown into him there. And knowing that Macedon morale is not great as well, you could see a few Macedonian units actually rout through just losing so many troops from the piler hits there. Okay, so if we look closely here, there you can see the pilers now being thrown into the Macedonians. And as I say, the big 121-man units, pike units in this game, they suffer massive damage from any kind of missiles at all. As I say, very, very susceptible to any kind of missile damage. And so I know that Spitfyre's units are going to be kind of greatly depleted there by the pilers before they even get into hand-to-hand fighting there. Meanwhile over here, as I say, you can see the Pontus pikes moving towards my SBQR units there. You've got Lando's units there making contact with the forward units of my battle formation. You can see Fesen moving his Carthaginians forward there to try and help neutralise the attack coming in on my SBQR troops. There you can see Lando's probably going to take a couple of his units to hit into the flank of our Macedonian ally there. Okay. But can you see that cavalry there of both Lando's and Mantu's cavalry? We need to watch those quite closely because they may well be looking to get into the flank of the Macedonians here. But as I say, remember these are 121-man units. Okay, if we have a close look, you might well see the damage that the pilers have caused. Okay, so 121-man unit. This one's been reduced to 44, so the morale of that unit will be really low because of the casualties it's lost. This unit is reduced from 121 to 76, so their morale won't be very good either. This unit here, look, of 40 men, their morale has dropped so badly from losing so many men that they've just routed. And a lot of the other Macedonian pike units have been very, very battle depleted by the pilers that's been thrown in. And what I'm worried about here is a massive cavalry hit on the flank of those weakened Macedonian pike units could cause a mass rout. We need to be very careful of that. As I say, I've got my SBQR cavalry ready there to try and neutralise a cavalry hit on our Macedonian ally there. But you can see several of the Macedonian units are already starting to rout here. And you can see now, can you see that Mantu has charged his infantry forward? So he is now pinning and holding those Macedonian units. Watch his cavalry, watch his Brutii cavalry going to smash in there. You can see them hit. Here they go. And bang! Can you see my cavalry coming in there to try and counter that cavalry attack there? And bang! bang, as they come in there. And the Macedonian cavalry coming in there as well, look, and bang, as they smash in there as well. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. This could be the make or break of the battle here. Okay, just to give you a heads up on that, because look at the amount of Macedonian pikes that have now been routed. Okay, look at all these Macedonian pike units of Spitfyrs have now been routed by the enemy troops. They charge with their infantry to pin and hold those Macedonian units as they smash their cavalry in. You can see Lando bringing some of his Scipii cavalry in as well. But it looks to me like the vast majority of the Macedonian pikes are going to be routed here, and then those enemy troops will get in behind us. Oh my gosh. Things not looking very good for us here. As I said, that could be a pivotal part of the battle. Here you can see that Fesen's moved a lot of his Sacred Band units forward there to engage the enemy Scipii and Pontus troops there. You can see he's got reserves there to move in if he needs to. Okay, so we're holding okay at this particular part of the battlefield, but poor old Spitfyr got hammered by Pilas there, and then he got smashed by that cavalry. So, as I say, that could well be a pivotal part of the battle, what we've just witnessed. Okay, now meanwhile over here, which has really surprised me, Royer has attacked with his Dacian chosen swordsman. Can you see he's brought his Dacian swordsman just out of the woods there to smash into Demon's Julii troops there. Okay, now remember that those Dacian barbarian chosen swordsmen will be getting the winter bonus, but I'm not sure if they'll be getting the woods bonus. They are fighting quite close to the woods, but I'm not sure they'll be getting the woods bonus as well. Some troops might be, but others will just be getting the winter bonus. Okay, and here comes a chariot. Here comes a chariot here of Barclayman's. It wouldn't surprise me if he just smashed into the back of those Julii, engaged Julii infantry. Watch that chariot unit, and bang! As he smashes there into the rear of those Julii infantry there. Okay, did you see that the Julii general there, Demon, got his cavalry in behind the Dacians? Can you see the Dacians here have punched a hole through the actual Julii battle line there? Can you see they've punched a hole and come out the other side? So, and that chariotlet is chopping up Julii troops like there's no tomorrow as well. Plus the morale sapping ability of that chariot. But meanwhile over here you'll see, I think all of the Macedonian pikes have now been routed, and Mantu's army, both his infantry and cavalry, now can go rampant, if you like, and smash into the back of our engaged troops. Okay, we've still got our cavalry here. We've still got the Macedonian cavalry and some of my SBQR cavalry. What I'm thinking of now is something radical. And what I'm thinking of is pulling my SBQR troops out of this battle, because I'm hoping Fesen's spearmen can hold Pontus and Scipii. If I pull my SBQR infantry out of this particular part of the battle and move them back to engage Mantu's victorious infantry there. Okay, just to give you a heads up, that's what I'm thinking. Okay, a little bit of a radical move there, because it just leaves Fesen to hold two armies. Oh my gosh, over here, can you see that Demon's general's been taken out? Okay, and now you can see a heck of a lot of Demon's elite Roman infantry and cavalry are starting to rout here. Okay, make no mistake about that. And here comes Lando's cavalry here to maybe finish off poor old Demon's Julii infantry there. Look at that chariot there. It hasn't routed. It's still chopping up poor old Demon's infantry there. And now the Dacian chosen swordsmen are really concentrating on what's left of the Julii infantry. And here comes Lando's cavalry here. The final hammer blow, I would suggest, if that cavalry smashes in there. They've killed the Dacian general. I think they just killed the Dacian general, so well done to Demon there. But here comes Lando's cavalry, and he's going to smash in there, and bang! As he smashes in there, ramming home the Dacian chosen swordsman attack. And here comes the other cavalry units as well, look, and bang! Next one goes in, and bang! And then the last one goes in, and bang! Watch that Julii infantry rout now. Oh my gosh. Right, okay, so all of Demon's red Julii Roman army has now been taken out, and all these victorious troops are now ready to smash into the rear of our armies over on the other flank there. So that is another possible pivotal moment that we've just seen. So my guess is the battle's not going to be on for a lot longer there, because as you can see, the enemy troops are starting to get a big advantage here. So as I say, what I'm going to do, something radical here. I'm going to pull my SBQR troops out of this particular part of the battle, even though my troops are engaged with enemy troops. I'm going to pull them out there and try to engage Mantu's green Brutii infantry in behind us. I'm trusting that Fesen here, with his well upgraded troops, will hold that particular part of the battle line. Uh-oh, here comes a chariot unit into my infantry. Bang! That Pontus chariot unit just smashed into the side of my infantry. But can you see I'm surging? I'm surging forward with my infantry into Mantu's green Brutii infantry. I was going to bring my cavalry in there as well, but my cavalry has been held up by a couple of Brutii units there. Okay, so you can see I'm surging my SBQR troops into Mantu's infantry there. I wanted to bring my cavalry in, but they've been kind of held up by a couple of Brutii units. I want to bring my cavalry in to kind of ram home the surge attack here. Can you see though that Mantu's troops are tired? Well, my troops are fresh. That's another gamble I've taken here. I know my troops are fresh, and I'm throwing him into tired troops. So we know Mantu's morale won't be very good, and his battle proficiency, the way that his troops actually fight the battle, will be low. I'm trying to smash through Mantu's line to get over to help my Macedonian allies' cavalry over there as well. So speed is the essence here. Come on, surge, surge. My SBQR troops need to surge forward now. Come on, I need to get over there to help my Macedonian allies' cavalry there who's fighting there. Can you see how my SBQR troops are really penetrating that green Brutii infantry? And you can see the Pontus pikemen coming in behind my troops, but I'm trying to punch a hole through there to try and get over to help my Macedonian ally there. Can you see how well Spitfyer's cavalry is doing against both infantry and cavalry there? Here I can see Lando's coming over and some more chariots coming over here. Now the chariots and cavalry could either smash into our Macedonian allies' cavalry there. Okay, that might be a target, or they might smash into my surging infantry. Okay, they could smash in there. And the very battle-depleted Dacian chosen swordsmen are on their way over as well. You can see they have been very battle-depleted there, but there's still quite a lot of them there, and they could make a difference in this battle. As I say, Fesen's done very well there with his Carthaginians. Like, he's routed a lot of the Scipii troops, including the Scipii general. So well done to him, taking the morale bonus away, and he's routed some Pontus units as well. So well done to Fesen. He's held really well there with his Carthaginians there. Okay, but as I say, here I'm trying to punch a hole through the enemy Brutii infantry to get over here, as I say, to help my Macedonian allies' cavalry there. Can you see how I'm really surging with my infantry? Right, there you are. You can see now I'm pushing through to get over to help my allies there. There's Lando's cavalry coming in, could rout some of my allies' Macedonian cavalry. There it goes, going to charge in there, very tired. Bang! As it smashes in there. Routed that one Macedonian cavalry unit on impact. Can you see how I'm surging forward again with my SBQR cavalry? Okay, can you see? I want to take out some of those Brutii infantry units that are there. I know there's Brutii cavalry there as well. But once again, you can see my SBQR troops surging forward. You can see Lando pulling his cavalry back there. And we've routed a couple more of those Brutii units there as well. Right, time to change trajectory of my surge attack now. I need to go back over to help Fesen. I need to charge and surge my infantry back over there, but be aware of Lando's cavalry in behind me, and aware of those Dacian chosen swordsmen moving over towards us as well. Okay, so once again, speed is the essence here. I need to surge attack over here to help and Fesen against the Pontus pikes and the remainder of Mantu's Brutii troops there as well. Right, can you see my SBQR troops literally surging in to those Pontus pikemen there? Okay, push forward, surging forward all the time there. Routing one of those Pontus units on impact here. But you can see that Pontus had got in behind some of Fesen's Sacred Band units there. So I knew I had to get over there as fast as I could. try and help Fesen there. As I say, you can see right now I'm going to change trajectory of my surge attack again. I'm moving in that direction now, charging, if you like, up towards the enemy Pontus pikes there. You can see the Dacian chosen swordsmen have got over to us now, but they are extremely battle depleted. You can see some of Mantu's green Brutii infantry has rallied and is coming back into the fray there. You can see those troops there where Mantu's rallied, but he's decided not to charge them in. He's moving back here. It looks like the enemy troops are going to rally over on that particular part of the battlefield. I can see a couple of Macedonian pike units of Spitfyrs has rallied as well. But as I say here, we're just trying to finish off as many of those Pontus pike units as we can. Okay, make no mistake about that. Remember, those Pontus pike units got 8 upgrades on, most of them 2 experience stripes, gold shield, gold attack. So they are tough, well upgraded units there. But just trying to take that last that unit out there. You can see my infantry moving in on him, and you can see the Carthage there moving over towards that unit as well. So we've taken that unit out. But you'll see, can you see the enemy troops are kind of rallying there, and are kind of redeploying their troops there. Can you see how they're forming up? But can you see how I'm moving my SBQR troops forward? What I don't want to let them rest. I don't want to let them kind of rally and form up there. What I want to do is keep the attack moving forward onto them. So as I say, you can see my SBQR army. You can see my SBQR army is very battle depleted, but I'm hoping my allies will follow me up here as I attack. Okay, as I say, I don't want to let the enemy settle. I want to keep them moving around, keep them kind of on the hop almost, like, if you see what I mean. Right, so you can see me moving my SBQR troops forward there into the rallied Brutii troops of Mantu's army there. You can see my allies bringing their pike units up behind. Right, now see these 4 cavalry units of Lando, these could make a massive difference in this battle, because if they smash into my SBQR army, maybe they could cause a mass rout. So I'm hoping that my Macedonian ally will try and counter those cavalry. Plus, Demon's got a couple of his red Julia units that he's rallied there, and he's brought them over into the fray as well. Okay, but there you can see those Dacian chosen swordsmen charging in to my SBQR infantry. Now, my infantry is very battle depleted and tired, so it wouldn't surprise me if you saw a few of my SBQR units starting to rout, as you can see there. Can you see several of my SBQR infantry are now starting to rout? But you can see my Macedonian ally charging his cavalry in there like a bang as he smashed in there. You can see here, right, there goes Lando's cavalry. Now, can this be a battle-deciding cavalry charge? And bang! As he smashes in there. But look what he's run into. He's run into those Macedonian anti-cavalry pikemen there. So no, that cavalry charge wasn't battle-deciding there. But maybe it could have been. And there he's pulling back. Right, you can see the Dacian infantry now has all been routed. Okay, we've routed all that victorious Dacian infantry there that was very battle depleted. Once again, can you see me taking my SBQR troops forward? I don't want to let any of the enemy troops rally if I can help it. Okay, over here you'll see I've got some rallied SBQR units here. See that Pontus general attacking one of my rallied units? And you can see Spitfyr bringing his cavalry in there to counter that Pontus general there. The Pontus general's now pulling back. That was a nice bit of support there by Spitfyr. There, so well done to him. Here, as I say, you can see my SBQR units there moving into that Pontus pike, but I've got to be aware of Lando's cavalry. They're still strong cavalry, those 3 units, plus his infantry as well. Going to smash into the back of my SBQR troops, going for my general. They're going for my general there, like, bang, as they smash in there. Oh my gosh. But don't forget, Lando's cavalry is very tired there, so they would have lost a lot of their charge bonus there because they're very tired, and their battle proficiency, the way they actually fight the battle, will be very low as well. And as I say, their morale will be very low also. So there you are. You can see there that my Carthage ally, you got Demons, Julii infantry in there, a couple of rallied units. So we're kind of pulling together the best we can here. Okay, but as I say, Lando's cavalry could be a real problem for us, as we've got no cavalry to counter that. Okay, we've got pikes and spears which are anti-cavalry, but if Lando's careful, he could kind of get round those. Okay, so I think we're going to kind of go into phase 2 of the battle. There's that Pontus general once again, look, attacking my general there, look, trying to kill my general, take the general morale bonus away from our army there. But what I think we're going to do is possibly move into phase 2 of the battle here, where we're going to kind of regroup and rally here. Okay, pause again for a second here. So that's all the troops that we got left here, as you can see, infantry wise, and you can see that's the enemy troops there, the rallied troops that they've got there as well. Okay, so as I say, we're kind of going into phase 2 of the battle here, where we're going to regroup, form up, and be prepared for the attack. We know Lando's very aggressive, so we know he's going to attack here. But for me, I've got to look after my general. Over here you can see that Demons, one of Demons' rallied units there is being attacked by Scipii infantry, and that Pontus cavalry unit hit him as well. There, so you can see me moving my SBQR troops. But as I say, for me, I've got to try and guard my SBQR general. So I'm going to do some micromanagement with what I've got left of my infantry to make sure I try and guard the general there from being attacked from enemy troops. Here you can see our Macedonian ally there, still got some very battle damaged cavalry units left. And there you'll see Fesen being very aggressive with his spearmen, moving towards Lando's cavalry. But Lando will definitely move his cavalry out the way. And as I say here, if you look at my SBQR army, you'll see I'm doing a bit of micromanagement there, just to try and guard the general. Okay, because I think the general at this stage of the battle, where all our troops are battle depleted, tired, the general morale bonus is extremely important towards the end of a battle. So as you can see there, I'm guarding that general with units there to protect him. And as I say here, you can see the enemy troops moving cavalry around us there, probably trying to look to hit our general, because I think the Carthage general is still alive as well. There. So, right, let's go on to double speed here. Okay, as we're forming up. And as I say, you can see Lando taking his cavalry around the flanks there, looking to smash into the flanks. You can see that he's got infantry there as well. And as I say, you can see Fesen here with his Sacred Band spearman there, moving his troops around, trying to neutralise a cavalry threat. As I say, my general there, I've got him well protected from any enemy hits. There, let's go up to triple speed there. And then we'll go back to normal speed once the attack starts, okay? So there you are, you can see them going in there, we're on normal speed. There goes the cavalry going in there, look, and bang, bang, and the infantry as well, look, bang, as they smash in there. But of course, because they're all so very tired and battle depleted, they don't get much penetration because their charge bonus has been reduced really significantly there. There's that Pontus cavalry general, look, banging in there as well. There, you can see them really pushing in there as they charge him. There you can see that infantry of Lando's there. That could be a problem for us, and plus his cavalry there. You can see still got quite a considerable amount of cavalry there as well, that you can charge him from different angles. There's that cavalry unit going in again there, look, and bang, it smashed into the flank of my SBQR troops. There's another cavalry unit there ready to smash it as well. That Pontus general unit keeps charging in there as well. As you can see there, I see one of the Scipii infantry units has now been routed, and you can see that cavalry unit of Lando's there ready to charge in. You can see that, right, we've routed the two Scipii infantry units, right, there you are, you can see Lando charging that cavalry in, and bang, as he smashes it in there. But I think that was just a forlorn hope there. He just charged that in because he's so aggressive. And all that's left of the enemy now, from what I can see, is the Pontus cavalry general. That's the last of the enemy there. If we can rout him, and there you are. And it looks like our team has just about managed to go on to win the battle there. Okay, you can see here that over in this part of the battlefield, it's quite condensed. But all the way over here, of course, this is where poor old our Julii ally Demon there lost his Julii army there to the Dacians, but remember, he was being chopped up by that chariot unit, and then Lando's cavalry came in to finish him off there. So that was a heck of a battle. But if you noticed, he really decimated the Dacian infantry there. If you notice, there was not a lot of them left when they came running back over to us here. Over here, this is where Fesen and myself, remember we were holding there against Scipii and Pontus coming in on us there. Okay, do you remember that? That's where we were holding there, and I moved my SBQR army back out to face the Brutii infantry. Over here, of course, this is where all those pilers from Mantu's army were thrown into our Macedonian ally there, really weakening the units there. You can see a heck of a lot of dead troops there. Look at that. There, you can see that. And then over here, the final stage of the battle there, we just about managed to go on to win. I think, if I remember right, Spitfyr might have 5 there's 1 unit left in there, 1 man left in that unit, 2 men left in that unit. So Spitfyr, I think, had 4 or 5 units left, very battle depleted. And you can see that Fesen's units that he's got left, 4 men in that unit left, very battle depleted. And you can see my SBQR also very battle depleted. And as I say, poor old Demon's army was completely routed there. But he did do a lot of damage to the Dacian infantry, I think. We'll see when the kills come up there. Okay, so the first thing I'd like to say is really well played to everybody in this very close battle. I think if RTW did very close, this would be a very close battle. Okay, highest kills in the game goes to a Brotherhood member Fesen with his Carthaginians there, 1,791 kills. So well done to Fesen there with his faction of choice, Carthage. Really well done. So look at Mantu. Look at that. Look at the kills. He got 1,743. So really well done to Mantu, killing all those Macedonians. Well done to Royal with his Dacian army. Look at the kills that he got. Really good kills with Dacia on a normal 31k battlefield. Well done to Lando. Look at the kills that he got. And look at Barclayman's kills. Now look at all the enemy kills there. See how close this battle was. That could be winning kills, couldn't it? Look at my kills there. Not too bad. 1,524. Yep. Quite pleased with those kills there. Well done to Spitfyr. Got over 1,000 kills with his Macedonians there. So well done to Spitfyr there. And well done to Fesen to say highest kills in the game. But look at Demon's kills. Look at the kills that he got. Really good kills. That goes to show the damage he did to Dacia over there by the woods. So well done to Demon. Played really well there. Okay, what do you think about faction advantage there? So they had Rome, Dacia, Rome and Pontus. Okay. And we had there, and we had Rome, Macedon, Carthage, and Rome. So I think probably looking at that, I'd say that we had maybe the stronger factions there. But anyway, so I hope you enjoyed this battle. It's very unusual, rare, close battle. Please leave a comment because it's nice reading what you think about our battles, or a thumbs up, and bye for now.